You know that business idea you keep rewriting? That YouTube channel you won't launch? That resignation letter you drafted but never sent? In this episode, we're going to talk about why you keep breaking your own promises, why you keep walking away from the routines, boundaries, and dreams that could change everything, and why the closer you get to becoming who you're meant to be, the more something in you shuts down. You know it's not just procrastination, it's fear. It's self-abandonment dressed up as perfectionism. And that gym you keep skipping? That isn't about laziness. That's about trust. The trust you've been slowly losing in yourself. That meal you didn't prep? It's not about macros. It's about self-respect. Because none of this is just about habits. It's about the quiet, aching distance between who you are and who you promised yourself you'd become. And the worst part? You're awake enough to see it. You know exactly what needs to change, but still, you don't move. Instead, you stall. You scroll. You tell yourself it's not the right time, or the right mood, or the right level of energy. But let's be honest. It's not about time or energy. It's about the version of you who keeps showing up when it matters most, and quietly choosing comfort over becoming. You keep saying, I just need to get my life together. But what if the real problem is that you don't trust yourself to follow through on anything that matters? And what if that's the thing you're too scared to admit? You've got two versions of yourself. One makes the plan, the other breaks it. One is clear, ambitious, intentional. The other just wants to feel okay. And here's the betrayal. They both live in you, but only one of them ever gets what they need. You keep building futures with the part of you that dreams, but you hand the steering wheel to the part of you that's scared. And it makes sense, right? The plan you made at night was written by the version of you that had hope, vision, clarity. But the one who wakes up in the morning? She's not chasing a dream. She's bracing for impact. She's not asking, what will make me proud? She's asking, what will make this pressure go away? And that's the trap. You think you're lazy, unfocused, unmotivated. But what you really are is tired of pretending your survival instincts are a moral failure. Because the truth is, the thing that keeps sabotaging your progress, it used to protect you. Distraction helped you cope. Perfectionism kept you safe. Avoidance made the chaos feel manageable. But now, those same strategies are the reason you're stuck. You're trying to build a future with tools that were only ever meant to help you survive the past. And that's why you keep collapsing under your own plans. Because deep down, some part of you still believes that choosing growth means choosing pain. Here's how the sabotage works. You make a decision, one that actually matters to you. And for a moment, it feels real, possible. Then the discomfort shows up. The doubt, the tension in your chest, the voice in your head that whispers, you won't follow through. You never do. So what do? You reach for relief. Not progress, not alignment. Relief. You check your phone. You open the fridge. You change tabs. You scroll until you feel numb again. And here's the worst part. You know you're doing it, but you also don't know how not to. Because every time you choose relief over action, you feel like you've failed. And every time you feel like you've failed, you double down on the pressure to get it right tomorrow. And that's the loop. Decision, discomfort, avoidance, shame, restart. You keep cycling through it, not because you're weak, but because it's familiar. Because somewhere along the way, you learned that momentum is dangerous. That if you actually try, and actually care, and actually show up, you might finally see the truth about yourself. And what if that truth isn't good enough? So instead, you stay in the in-between, where you're constantly planning to change, but never risking enough to find out if you can. That's not laziness. That's emotional self-protection disguised as procrastination. And until you understand that, you'll keep thinking your failures are personal. They're not. They're patterned. It doesn't show up in self-help books, but it shows up in your life. every day. You weren't sabotaging your future. You were protecting your past. Every skipped workout, every abandoned project, every time you ghosted your own goals, it wasn't because you didn't care. It was because some part of you still believed that succeeding would cost you something: love, safety, belonging, identity. Because maybe when you started showing ambition, someone in your life felt threatened. Maybe when you wanted more, you were told you were too much. Maybe the moment you finally felt proud, someone made sure you felt small again. So you adapted. You made yourself easier to digest. You shrunk your desires. You learned to stay 2 steps behind your own potential so no one would leave. And now, as an adult, that same pattern is still running the show. You call it inconsistency. But it's not. It's loyalty to a younger version of you who learned that visibility meant danger. So of course you stall when things start to work. Of course you pull back right when momentum builds. Because growth doesn't just challenge your schedule, it threatens your entire story. The story where you survive by staying small. The story where trying equals exposure. The story where you can't lose if you never fully try. But that story, it's outdated. You're not that scared kid anymore. And the people you were trying to protect yourself from, they don't get to write your story anymore. Most people think the problem is laziness, that if you just tried harder, pushed more, got more disciplined, you'd finally break through. But that's not what's actually happening. Laziness isn't the enemy, it's the disguise. What you're really experiencing is a nervous system that's been trained to slow you down anytime you get close to growth. Because to your brain, unfamiliar success can feel more threatening than familiar failure. That's why you feel a weird resistance when things start going well, when you actually start following through or building momentum. Psychologist Gay Hendricks called this the upper limit problem, the idea that we each carry an unconscious ceiling for how good we're allowed to feel before we self-sabotage and pull ourselves back down. It's not random. It's protection. Your system learned long ago. If you shine too bright, someone might leave. If you take up space, someone might get upset. If you change too much, you might lose everything. So your so-called laziness, it's just a well-rehearsed safety protocol. Not failure, not weakness, just a brain trying to keep the pain predictable. So how do you break the pattern? How do you stop self-sabotage not by fighting harder, but by doing something almost no one talks about? You stop trying to focus like it's a task, and you start treating focus like it's a place. Here's what I mean. When you try to focus, what most people do is force. They grip harder, push through, block everything out. But real focus, deep, grounded, effortless attention, doesn't come from pressure. It comes from identity alignment. According to research in cognitive neuroscience, your brain allocates focus based on salience, not importance. Meaning, your brain doesn't focus on what matters most. It focuses on what feels most relevant to who you believe you are. So, if you still see yourself as the person who flakes, who starts and stops, who almost but never quite, your brain will literally filter out anything that doesn't match that identity, including your own goals. That's why willpower fails, because you're trying to force attention towards something your identity doesn't recognize as you. So here's the real micropath. Before you try to be productive, ask yourself one question. Who am I showing up as right now? Not, what do I need to do? But, who do I need to become just for the next 10 minutes? A focused person. A disciplined creator. A future version of you that already knows how to show up. And then, here's the weird part. Speak it. Out loud. No matter how dumb it feels. Right now, I'm the kind of person who finishes things. Right now, I'm someone who makes decisions and stands by them. Right now, I'm someone who can sit with discomfort and not run. Studies from identity-based behavior research show that when your actions confirm an identity, Your brain starts to wire that identity as truth, and focus follows naturally. So this isn't about doing the task, it's about shifting who you believe is doing it. Because once your brain believes it's you won't have to fight for focus. It will come find you. If something in this spoke to you, sit with it for a moment. Let it echo. This wasn't just another video. This was a mirror, a moment of meeting yourself mid-shift, not the version that's perfect, the version that's becoming. So before you go, ask yourself, gently, honestly, who do I want to become? Write it down, in the comments, in your notes, in your head. Just give it form. And if someone you love is caught in the same cycle, send this to them, quietly. No big speech. Just, hey, this might hit you like it hit me. And if you want more of this, more space to remember who you are and who you're allowed to become, you're welcome here. Subscribe if it feels right. And most of all, enjoy the process. You don't have to race toward your new identity. You just have to keep choosing it. One breath, one moment, one real decision at a time. You've got this. And I'm glad you're here. See you in the next videos.